What's up, guys? This is episode 5 of Game News and Things. I am TheOneBG along with my buddy Platinum. It's Blizzcon weekend, so we got a ton of stuff to cover. So let's start the way we always do by talking about what we've been playing. So, Mr. Platinum, what have you been up to this past week?
In video games terms, pretty much nothing. I've been busy with school. I've just had a lot. It was the week after a bunch of finals or midterms and all that, so I'm busy just doing a bunch of crap. So nothing much on that terms. I've played a little bit of Skyrim, just trying to get some videos out, but then I've also been sick a little bit, so through this episode there might be a little sniffling. I'll try to mute my mic, and I apologize if any of it comes on cam, but I'm trying to get through it. Hopefully going to be making some videos coming out at least by tomorrow on Sunday, because we are recording it on Saturday night, so if something does happen, if something gets announced either now or coming up tomorrow, we apologize for not covering it. We'll cover it in next episode.
For sure.
How about you? What have you been playing?
Well, this week I've been kind of jumping around from a little bit of this to a little bit of that. So I've spent the majority of the time continuing with Civ 6. Probably about 4 or 5 more hours of that. I have gotten back into Skyrim. I'm doing a different sort of Let's Play using mods in it, and I'm doing it's called Live Another Life mod. I believe that's what it's called. And you pretty much can choose how you want to start, and I chose to be like a rich guy up in one of the northern cities, so I have a house up there. And now I'm just kind of traversing and living my own little life. I also played a early access game on Steam called My Summer Car.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is so frustrating. Oh my gosh.
Is it frustrating due to it being an early access game, or is it meant to be frustrating?
It's okay, so for the most part, I can't. So the preface of the game is you're over in Finland and you're trying to build a car. But the first thing you really should do is drive this old van to the store to fill up your gas and your diesel and buy the remaining parts you need and extra food, which the food is beer and sausages. That's kind of you have to eat. Lovely. In the game. So you stack up on beer and sausages, and I've spent the majority of my time just trying to drive to the store because I keep crashing into gosh darn trees, man. They are so frustrating. All of a sudden I'll be driving, I'll be like, all right, I'm doing good, and then all of a sudden I'll hit a bump, and then I just fly off the road and crash and die, and then I have to start all over again because it has permadeath. So as soon as you die, you start over. And the one time I made it to the store, I bought everything I needed, I filled up on gas, I got in the van and started to drive, but I wasn't all the way in the van when I was driving, so this is part of that early access sort of thing, where the game isn't quite finished. So I'm doing this, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get out and readjust my guy so I can actually see out the windshield so I don't crash. And I get out the car, and the car explodes and flips over on its back, and I can't drive it anymore. And then I lose the car, and then I have to start all over because I lose everything in the car. extremely frustrating. That's the only like actual game breaking glitch that I've had
Hmm.
that was like really frustrating me. Like otherwise, it's just hard because I'm not good at driving in the sense that they need you to drive.
So, I mean, would you have liked to have like checkpoints throughout the game, basically? Or are you fine with this whole permadeath? Like, or would you have rather like you got to the shop, bought your stuff, that was a checkpoint, so if you lose, you just go back to that point?
Yeah, they have so like the way that you save is you have to sit on the toilet.
Oh,
So there's a toilet at the store, but I was like, I knew there was permadeath, so if you die, like it just wipes it. So I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter if I save or not because it deletes your save.
uh-huh.
So I was like, I'm just gonna keep going because I wasn't done playing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can turn permadeath off, but it kind of like I don't know. This way, it like really makes me cautious, but I'm really tempted to just say, screw it. I'm turning permadeath off so I can play the game,
Yeah.
but I might just end up having to do that because it is so frustrating. Half the
Hmm.
time, I can't even make it to the highway. Like it's
Yeah.
just like dirt roads that I have to drive on, and those are the worst. Like once I make it to the highway, it's fine.
Hmm.
But otherwise, it's a very interesting game. I actually haven't got to the part of the game that like is the game of building a car. So I am hopefully gonna make it to that at some point.
Hmm.
I would recommend the game. It's only like I think I've like $13 or something like that. So it's not like
Right.
a large investment of money in it. But
Yeah.
it's an interesting game to say the least. And I've also been okay. I haven't been playing it. I played it once and I played a little bit of Ark Survival Evolved
Hmm.
and I thought it was just going to be like a prettier Minecraft,
Yeah.
but it is way harder than Minecraft.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm like walking on the shore and I'm like collecting stones and punching trees just like in Minecraft. And then this
Yep.
stupid little velociraptor thing comes and attacks me and all I have is a little pickaxe and so I kill it, but it brings me down to such low health and then I can't figure out what I'm supposed to eat or drink. So then I die the first night.
Gotcha.
It was a little frustrating, but whatever. I'm enjoying Civ 6 and Skyrim for sure, and the
Hmm.
occasional My Summer Car when I decide that I want to make myself really frustrated with myself.
Gotcha.
So, since it is BlizzCon week, we have a ton of news, and we're going to start with the non BlizzCon news first. And so, Mark Cerny had an interview with AV Watch, which is a Japanese website, and he said in the interview, the quote is Cerny mentioned that the goal is to have PS4 Pro support requiring no more than 1% of additional work in man hours compared to the entire development of a game. Cerny also explained that an increase in performance did not require a massive increase in the console's size. The PS4 Pro is in fact only 19% bigger than the PS4 released last year. Incidentally, he mentioned that his personal estimate is that rendering at native 4K across the board would require a minimum of 8 teraflops of computing power. And that's not something that can be achieved at a reasonable price this year. That said, users will be able to discern the difference between games on PS4 and the improved versions on PS4 Pro at a glance. End quote. So he's saying that essentially developers shouldn't be complaining about having to upscale their games to PS4 Pro because it only requires no more than 1% of additional work. Do you buy this?
I mean, I I see where he's coming from, but it's still something that, okay, developers, you're creating your game for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. That's what that's what they've grown up doing, especially the ones that have been doing games for 20, 25 years or so, however long it's been. But now all of a sudden, hey, you've been doing your job good for however long you've been doing it. But you still now have to do both these. I mean, sure, there's PlayStation Pro and Scorpio. So now they also have to take into account that you will now also have to do it for these two other game consoles. I mean, it still is requiring extra work that I doubt developers truly want to do. So, I mean, I buy that, yes, I get where he's coming from, that, yay, it's only one additional percent. But also remember, some games are bigger than the others. Some games can be created within, like, a night. And then there's games like The Witcher 3 that have, like, 500 hours of gameplay. That doesn't get made over a night. That 1% can be different throughout multiple different, like, games. So certain developers can complain about it, in my eyes.
Yeah, that 1% isn't just like it isn't equal across all games. Like 1% could mean 2 hours, or it could mean 200 hours. It
Yeah,
all
it's
depends
not just
on.
like a flip of a switch that
Right, right.
like, hey, now you also have to do it for this. No, it does require extra work.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting that he mentioned that his personal estimate that rendering at native 4K across the board would require the 8 teraflops that this Xbox Scorpio is reporting to have, and that he says it's not something that can be achieved at a reasonable price this year. So maybe that, I mean, that makes sense as to why Scorpio isn't being released this year, and most likely maybe next year,
Hmm.
where it is more affordable.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's why PS4 Pro doesn't have the 8 teraflops that everyone wants, because it would probably be extremely expensive.
yeah, but then again, PS4 Pro, what's so pro about it, minus the fact, oh, you get to do HDR that not even all TVs do, along with you can also run 4K on some games. I think they announced their launch thing, and it's only like 30 some games that are going to be using PS4 Pro, let alone some of the games are infamous Second Son, which was like a game 3 or 4 months after the release of the original PS4.
Right.
Who's going to be going out and saying, "Oh, this does PS4 Pro now. I'll go back and play
Yeah, yeah,
the infamous Second Son"? No, I don't. I see the point with Xbox Scorpio of what we've heard from it, that it's going to have all this processing power, native 4K, all this extra stuff, but yet again, the original excuse me, Xbox One was so much of a disappointment in that reason. Like, it only did like a max of like 720, I think.
yeah,
So, I mean, it's a big jump up to Xbox Scorpio of what we are to believe is what it's going to be doing. So it's a lot different, yet alone PS4, there's not much of a jump. I get you're trying to fight your competitors with this, but I just don't get why they're doing it. Because
right.
the PS4 is already selling amazing.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I still don't see the point of a PS4 Pro, but I do see the point of a Scorpio on getting this massive console because they need a bump up from their original one.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about Scorpio and what Phil Spencer had to say about it. So there was an interview at E3 and other and beyond where they talked about what Phil Spencer's ideas are about the Scorpio and beyond. So I'll read some of this and go from there. So this is from Game Informer. It says, at E3 2016, you used the phrase gaming beyond generations when you revealed Project Scorpio. Does this mean that in the future, console gamers will need to buy hardware more regularly if they want to play the best possible version of a game? And Phil Spencer says, I don't have this desire to every 2 years have a new console on the shelf. That's not a That's not part of the console business model, and it doesn't actually help us. The best customer I have is somebody who buys the original Xbox and just buys all the games. That's the best customer for us in terms of the pure financials of it. I don't have a need to get you to go buy the newest console, or I don't have the need to create an artificial loop of, here's a new console every 2 years in order to get you to go buy. I'm not trying to turn consoles into the graphics card market where every so often Nvidia or AMD come out with a new card. And if I want a little bit more performance, I'm going to go buy that new card. I think for consoles it's different. I think you have to hit a spec that actually means something in an ecosystem of televisions and games. Spencer said he doesn't know what's next after Scorpio. So then they go on and ask him this question. One of the reasons that people choose consoles over PC is because they don't like that feeling of missing out on the best possible version of their platform. Is there a danger that you're introducing that into the console space with Xbox Scorpio? He says, just to be clear, if you really wanted the best version, you're going to need something beyond the resolution and refresh rate of your TV. This is why for us, with Xbox Play Anywhere, to flip it back in skilled PR ways to something that's about us. We're saying you should play the game where you want to and you don't have to buy it twice. Take Gears of War, because I've seen Gears of War on a high-end PC rig and it's crazy. I've also seen it in HDR on Xbox One S and it looks amazing on my television. I don't want to have to go buy it twice. I don't feel like I'm missing out on something. I just get to choose where I want to play it. I can play with my same friends whether they're on PC or Xbox, and I don't have to buy the game twice. My controller can work in both scenarios. I can play keyboard and mouse on PC if I want to. And then in another question, he says, Microsoft is fairly selective about the technology it backs. It didn't jump into the 3D television trend quite as astutely, but you're embracing 4K and HDR wholeheartedly. Is that truly the next big leap in video game technology? And Phil Spencer replies, Big leap is an interesting one. I've been around Xbox since the original Xbox, and I remember the shift from SD to HD. I remember seeing Gears of War 1, which for us was the first game that I saw on pre-release 360 hardware, and I went, wow, that just looks like something new. The first time you saw a sporting event on live TV in HD, you went, okay, that is something different. One of the challenges for the generation we're in now is the jump from 360 to Xbox One, or frankly PS3 to PS4. It is visible on screen, but not at the same level. It's not a 2D to 3D transition or an SD to HD transition. You have to be closer to understanding the content and appreciating the content, because those late gen 360 games look pretty good. When I see 4K games, they look demonstrably better, but it's not the same difference that we saw from SD to HD or from 2D to 3D. When gaming went that direction, HDR is the same way. I love the way movies and games look in HDR, but I don't think it's the same transformative thing that we saw with earlier leaps. So I think that is quite interesting. Let's tackle this first one first, where he asks about the consoles every 2 years, and Phil Spencer says he doesn't want that. I think that's good.
I mean, yeah, it's good, but if he truly believes it, I don't get. I mean, he's like the head person
Yep.
of Xbox, so he's kind of like, yep, let's do it. Yep, let's don't
Right.
do it. So I mean, if he doesn't do it, what's the point of doing the Scorpio right now?
Right.
I mean, sure, it's still going to be back. Basically, it's a new console, but it's backwards compatible with all the new games, and they're just not going to create exclusives for this device. It's basically what this thing is. I mean, you take all these consoles that have come out, they're gaps in like resolution and all that. That's basically what these new ones do. Is they just upgrade all the hardware of each item. So it's basically a new console. So he kind of counteracts it with Scorpio, in my eyes.
Right. Right. Yeah,
I
because he
just,
has this Xbox One S, and now he's having the Scorpio possibly next year.
hmm I mean, I get the slim version.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that yes, usually all consoles come like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years later, come with a slim version. They figure out, hey, we can make this exact one cheaper and smaller, so let's get this out to our customers, see if we can make a little extra money. That's usual for all of these different kind of uh, the consoles. That's what we're used to. I mean,
Mhm.
sure, we're not gonna go out and buy the slims right when they come out. Now, I mean, this Slim was a little bit different because it allows 4K and all that for the
Right.
Xbox One S, but it's still basically the exact same thing.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I understand the Slim, but I don't understand the Scorpio because that's, from the sounds of it, once again, big, it's a big jump
Right.
in hardware from what they say.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And
it's, to me, this was kind of like a PR stunt.
yeah. And like along those lines, like I feel like he said the question is one of the reasons that people choose consoles over PC is because they don't like that feeling of missing out on the best possible version of their platform. Is there a danger that you're introducing that into the console space with Xbox Scorpio? And I think, well, to be honest, like that's honestly, well, that's why I switched over to PC is because I just got tired of these like all the time updates, and with a PC I can just upgrade the parts that I want and upgrade them when I need to, and games will work for X amount of years, and I really never have to change my PC probably for the next 15 years because I got such a nice one right now. And like that's kind of the opposite of consoles. Like I I have a launch PS4 and now they have the PS4 Pro, which I'm like, if I had a PS4, I was like, well, I would want the PS4 Pro because I have a 4K TV and whatnot. It's like, why wouldn't I want to take advantage of that? But then I'm like, well, are they just gonna release another one in 2 or 3 years, and then I'm gonna have the newest tech then anyway, so I'm gonna want to upgrade then. But now with the PC, it's like I already have future proof. Like I have it for the next 15 or so years. I mean, naturally in my state, like I'm going to want to upgrade my PC. I already have a bunch of stuff in an Amazon wish list that I want to add to my PC. Do I need to? No, I can run almost any game. I have yet to come across a game that I can't just throw on ultra settings with unlimited frame rate and just let it go and have no problems with it. So it's like, and with all of these incremental jumps in consoles, I'm like, I'm just gonna go to PC.
Gotcha. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, if I mean, you're like that ones the those kind of people who really care about how this stuff looks and everything. But a lot of the people that I know from like these who play console games, not not looking for their greatest resolution that they want. I mean, sure, there are people like you that are like, "Ooh, this Pro, yes, I'll take it. I want the best thing I can be looking at right now." But I know, like, for me, I could care less.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of a niche kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, sure, it's going to be, you get all these fancy graphics and everything, but I know that there's a lot of us out there that really don't care.
Right. Right. And I mean, for like honestly, graphics, like I could care less. I don't know. I just made the switch because I was like, I'm gonna make an investment that's gonna last me a long time and hopefully pays off in the long run. And I mean, the hardest thing for me from going from console to PC was leaving the actual people behind. Like we had
Hmm.
a group on consoles that I would play with like every single day, and like that was the hardest thing about switching to PC is now I have to remake that group essentially because
Yeah.
I played online shooters a lot over the past year or so.
Hmm. Yeah, it's hard to leave your groups. I get that. I
Hmm.
mean, it was kind of, oh God, it's kind of a rare thing with me because I'm more of a single player kind of guy.
Right.
But you and me got our big group together when Rainbow Six Siege came out, and that's where our group kind of came from. And
Hmm.
then we got Overwatch, we started playing with that. But now I've slowly kind of fallen out of multiplayer because when I moved to Xbox, I'm like, oh yeah, I really don't like playing multiplayer games. It was just I had a group then playing
Right.
multiplayer games, which I enjoyed. Now I'm back where I'm playing, like I played Rise of the Tomb Raider, I'm playing Skyrim, I enjoyed The Witcher 3, but that kind of got stopped when like Rainbow Six Siege and
Right.
all of them
Yeah.
came out. I was like, oh hey, my friends are on, let's go play
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Now I've slowly started thinking, like, yeah, that'd be kind of fun to go back into that game and not worry about, hey, my friends want to go play this now, because we've kind of all disbanded and we're all
Hmm.
back to where we were.
Yeah.
But yet again, me playing these single player games, yeah, sure, that's what this 4K is meaning. Like,
Right.
hey, sure, your multiplayer games, they're not going to focus on getting 4K running.
Right.
If you've looked at all those things, rarely any of them are multiplayer games
Right.
because multiplayer games they're going to focus or they're going to get here's our standard resolution, most likely 1080p.
Right. And that's all that really matters, and it's the
Yeah,
gameplay.
yeah, they're going to focus. All right, this gun's overused right now. It's
Yeah.
OP. Let's balance that. Get that fixed. Hey, we need to do this new DLC for it. Let's get these new maps pumped out. Let's go get this done. But for me, I'm my single player, and that's where all of this stuff is coming from. So for me, I don't. I'm known for not liking these resolutions, or I don't care. So for me, it's just like I don't see why they're doing it. If you want your games to worry about graphics and that, send it over to you guys in the PC community.
Right.
That's what we're known for.
Hmm.
You guys are known PC Master Race because we can get this running unlimited frames, top notch quality looking kind of games. And I'm sitting over here like, hey, my PS4 runs Grand Theft Auto 5 like it's
Hmm.
gold, and I'm still looking around like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Same with The Witcher. I mean, there's times where you're going up on a mountain, you look down, it's like, I can see 12 miles away these people just doing this stuff. I'm amazed by it. So I just, for me, I don't see the point of all this stuff. It just leaves a bad taste. I'm like, I get you guys are just trying to make this quick cash grab for all of these
Yeah.
random people that aren't on the PC community side. But say, hey, if you want to make your games look good, go right ahead.
Yeah. So let's talk about Tomb Raider. You mentioned that when
Mhm.
talking about your single player games.
Oh yeah.
And someone was not very careful with their work, and a leaked image on Reddit, leave it to the Redditors, has shown that possibly the next title of the next Tomb Raider is going to be Shadow of the Tomb Raider,
Hmm.
which is really all we know about it.
We could kind of expect that they were going to make a third one.
Hmm.
Because, sure, especially Rise of the Tomb Raider, did not sell very good due to it coming out at the exact same time of another big game called Fallout 4.
Right.
And then it also had its year exclusivity, and now it recently came back to PS4. Then they also said, hey, we're still going to pump out all this content for you guys. They had a new DLC, they had VR. So, they're really
They're
they're really tied to this Tomb Raider.
yeah, they're invested in it, which makes sense. I mean, Tomb Raider's a big name franchise.
Hmm. So, I mean, we kind of expected that it was coming. We kind of expected that they were working on it, and now it's just kind of true that, hey, yeah, they're working on it.
Yup. And there's not much else that we can really go off of. I mean, we just have a title. That's
Yeah.
all we really have. So EA released a statement that says, in terms of remasters, it's something that we look at. In all cases, we're trying to figure out what is right for the player. If this is a world where there are games that we have in our catalog that players really want to play in a remaster variety, and we believe that we can add the kind of enhancements that make that worthwhile for the player, then we will do that. Nothing to announce today, but certainly you can imagine with a portfolio as deep and rich as ours, and with a player base as engaged as ours, that we're getting lots of requests right now. So this was at their financial conference at the end of September, which I think is interesting, and I think this is the way that companies should take on remasters, where if enough of the player base wants a remaster and they feel that they can release an adequate remaster, then all the power to them.
Yeah. I mean, so like you said in the beginning of it, what did they say exactly? Let me just pull that up. Um, they say in terms of remastered, it's something that we'll look at. And then that all says, in all cases, we're trying to figure out what's right for the player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling BS on that. EA is known for being probably the worst company there is. So, in my eyes, if you're really looking out for what's best for the player, your Madden franchise would be one game, and you would just dish out a little paid DLC to upgrade the game each year with new everything. I mean, you could easily figure out how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just a quick little update. Sure, maybe you don't change the kicking or the defensive playing and all that stuff. I mean, you can tweak it a little bit in each update. I mean, that's what
Mm-hmm.
most multiplayer games do. They tweak little things in like certain guns or characters in Overwatch perspective, but you could update the lineups and get little extra graphical upgrades, new
Right.
UI and stuff like that. And then like every 3 or 4 years, you give out this brand new Madden with
Right.
all this updated stuff and a little extra changing the gameplay in that. That way, so the people who delve into the game, especially like Mutt, they don't just kind of, oh, next year, boom, $60 again, you're back in it. You
Right.
would sell a lot more copies, I'm guessing, if you said, hey, here's just a little update. It's $30, new lineups, everything, little extra stuff. But in that case, who cares about the sports games? Let's go into like Mass Effect. I'm pretty sure didn't they already upgrade Mass Effect once for the PS3 and Xbox 360? Or was that just a collection of it?
I think that was just a collection.
Alright. And then what other when I'm thinking about it, what other games does EA have that people want?
Right. I think
I mean,
Mass Effect's the big one.
yeah, Mass Effect's definitely the big one. I mean, we all kind of thought they were working on a Mass Effect remaster for Andromeda.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, that would be nice to have so the people who've never played a Mass Effect game, because there's a lot of new people buying consoles now.
Right.
They might want to play the first three, but they don't want to go shell out a PS3 or an Xbox 360 just to go play those three.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if it's like backwards compatible on Xbox One, but
Right.
But when I'm thinking about it, that's the only other game that really comes from EA that I'm guessing people would want. I mean, can you think of any?
No. Oh, we have another EA game that we're talking about later. But I mean, it's where it's where you get in a tricky situation with remasters or free DLC updates or free updates or just like release new games, because obviously you have limited resources at these developers, where so we can either put out a a remaster or a new game or an update or a new game and stuff like that. So there has to be a balance, and honestly, I would rather just see new games and smaller incremental free updates
Hmm.
to or paid updates that are just smaller, which would be perfectly fine for me. So let's get into this next one. Star Wars Battlefront sequel coming next fall.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected it would, but
You
they have a
played
lot.
this first one, correct?
Yes,
What do you want to see in a second one?
single player.
Single player.
Yep. That's basically my big thing that I want to see from this thing. We all know Star Wars is this huge franchise that we all want to just kind of go play in, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's made to just, there's a bunch of books, movies, and everything that has this fleshed out lore and everything. It doesn't even need to tie into the movies. I don't want it to tie into the
Right.
movies. I mean, we've seen what movie tie-in games are. They kind of suck.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see this brand new story. Sure, you can do something from like a book or something because not a lot of people read the books,
Right.
but give us like a clone trooper or a stormtrooper like group that goes out on these missions for the Jedi or the Sith or the Empire, something that lets us dive into it. The other thing I want to see, like multiplayer wise, I mean, they kind of stayed away from the sequel movies. They kind of stick to the 4, 5, and 6 because we haven't seen like the new from like Rogue One. We haven't seen any from Force Awakens. We didn't see anything from the prequels. But dive into this whole lore. You have this game that is insane with all the stuff that these people have already written for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Give us some of this content. Sure, the prequels weren't good, but let me go fight on Mustafar like it did
Mm-hmm.
in Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, Star Wars Battlefront 1 wasn't when it first released, it wasn't great, but everyone remembers the first Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
That's what we want. When they announced, hey, we're making a Battlefront game, everyone lost their minds
Yeah.
for this game. We want good space battles, not your wonky dice kind of flying game where it's literally you push forward on both sticks to go super fast, down on one stick to slow down, and then turn with that. No, we want just a normal flying mechanic. The game, Star Wars is not that complicated.
Right. Right.
I mean, then we also want instant action, where in the original Battlefront games we could pick from all of the maps
Mm-hmm.
that we can play, and we can just go up against AI.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I own Star Wars Battlefront 2 on my PC still, and I still like to go back and play it because
Yeah.
I just when that game first came out, people were known for playing like multiplayer on it. I wasn't privileged to have Wi-Fi and all that,
Yeah. I
let
don't think I
alone
ever
to.
played it
No, I played
online.
instant action
Yep.
playing against the bots, going 42-1.
Yup.
I was having a blast doing that. I was, because then you had all that sound, and then obviously you had that Mos Eisley map where you could just play all
All
of
the
the
heroes.
heroes against each
Yep.
other, and for some reason, the heroes always won.
Yep.
I mean, but it was still fun to go play as the villains and go own all these guys. Sure, they had their heroes and villains kind of game, but that wasn't the same.
Right.
They know what we were looking for in Battlefront when they were going to make it. They did not deliver on what the whole world wanted from that game.
Right. And I mean, we also do have Visceral Games. They're developing that third-person action game in the Star Wars universe
Mm-hmm.
that is supposed to come out in 2018. So,
You can count on me playing that. I can't wait for it.
yeah. So
Hopefully, it's not like The Force Unleashed, which was kind of crap.
it'll
It was
be
just a hack
interesting
and
as
slash.
to what EA decides to do with the Battlefront and what Visceral does with this. And then Respawn has also been working on a third-person action adventure game as well that could be more Star Wars. So we have quite a bit of stuff coming out, and it will be interesting to see where they go with this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so it's kind of interesting. So I just kind of did a little look up of Visceral Games, just kind of seeing what they're known for.
Mhm.
So they're known for Dead Space, basically.
Yep.
Then they also had most of the 007 games. They did a couple. They're known for the Sims also. They had a lot of Sims like DLC stuff that they've done. They're primarily Sims 2 is what they also did. So I mean, they have a wide catalog of games. The
Mhm.
only thing that I don't want to see this Visceral Games coming to,
Star Wars Sims.
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
You will
Live
not
on the
see
Death
me. I
Star.
will. That will always be the game that will be up on my YouTube channel.
That'd be freaking awesome.
If it was a Sims game, I mean, obviously it isn't. It's a third-person action game. But if they made a Sims game of Star Wars, yes, please.
That'd be sweet.
I mean, there was that one game, I don't remember what it was called, but it was basically like an Age of Empires
Hmm.
kind of StarCraft kind of Star Wars game.
Yeah.
It was a little too deep, but
Uh-huh.
it was still a fun game to play. But anyways, going back to Visceral Games, the one that I can kind of see what this Star Wars game could turn out to be is Dante's Inferno. So, I mean, if you don't know what that is it's like a God of War clone almost, but in a different kind of tone. I pray to God it's not that.
Hmm.
I don't need to be a Jedi just hacking slashing people.
Right.
I don't need the Force Unleashed again. Because that's basically what that was, is you come in and you're just slaughtering a bunch of stormtroopers and that. I don't need that. I want this nice fleshed out story, kind of like a Witcher kind of game. Sure, you're not going to go out craft armor and everything, but I want an open world kind of Star Wars game.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But I mean, that's my take on all this Star Wars crap. I just want at least EA says they want to remaster games. Remaster Battlefront 2 and make that your Battlefront 2.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I'd be down
You
with
will
that.
make you will make more than what you did in the original Battlefront. If you remaster Battlefront 2, yeah, let's go. Add a couple new maps on all this new stuff that's coming out. You'll have my money and pre-order and everything. I will be there day one and anything.
Yeah. So, on a completely opposite note of Star Wars,
Hmm.
uh, Nintendo had a direct presentation specifically for Animal Crossing and its new update called New Leaf, which introduced two mini games which were available at the same time as the direct presentation. However, prepackaged games with the update included will be titled Animal Crossing New Leaf Welcome Amiibo. Will hit retailers on December 2nd.
Next. I mean, does anyone still play Animal Crossing now? Especially Animal Crossing New Leaf. That was almost like a year after the original 3DS came out.
Yeah, when I saw that, I had seen rumors that there was this Animal Crossing Direct presentation coming up. I was like, oh, cool, a new Animal Crossing game. Nope, just an update.
I mean, what they need to do with all of their mobile games is make Animal Crossing mobile.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It is a perfect mobile game.
It is, yeah.
I'm just sitting around on a break. Oh, I'm gonna go clean up my town. Go
Yeah.
pick some weeds.
Yeah.
Or go harvest my fruit off my trees and go sell them to pay off my mortgage again. I mean, it's like the most minus having a mobile Pokemon game. This is the perfect mobile game.
Yeah. It's because it is a mobile game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I still don't understand why Nintendo has not made a Pokemon game for iOS and Android.
Yeah.
If let alone just put out like Ruby and Sapphire or Gold and Silver or Red, Blue and Gold. You put one of those out there, $5 on the App Store. Once again, you're making gangbusters on that.
Mhm.
Now I don't have to go jailbreak my iPhone just so I can go play a Ruby just playing on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I beat Ruby and Sapphire because I could play it on my phone.
Yep. And I mean, Nintendo's getting into that, but maybe it'll come later. However, we do have a new game in development, and that is Hitman Season 2. However, we don't know much about this. It just says the second season of Hitman will feature new places and cities, although Paris will still play an integral role as new missions, live events, and objectives will be available to complete in the region. The base game itself will remain intact, and in fact, the same game launcher will be used to incorporate content from the second season. This will make it much easier for content unlocked in the first season to be carried over to the second season and beyond. So, pretty much, it's just additions to the Hitman game that we have right now. Just going to essentially have a break from this last episode to whenever this next one comes out. And I do think it's cool that it's going to be in the same launcher as Season 1.
Mm-hmm. I mean, once again, I mean, I know the last episode for season 1 came out, but I mean, I enjoyed Hitman games, but I just don't have time to play them. They're not like, oh, I gotta play this. I mean, I know there's people out there that play it.
Mm-hmm. It's it's popular.
I mean, this is like the same thing that we were saying about like Madden. You got your base game. Here's all of our paid updates for it all. I mean, what's better than that? That sounds like a perfect thing to do.
Yep.
We completed our first storyline. All right, we're gonna work on season 2. We'll be back in a little bit.
Yep. And our last piece of non-BlizzCon news is Rainbow Six Siege latest DLC is Operation Red Crow, and the reveal is coming November 12th through the 13th. There has already been a lot of leaks about this. There was a short little trailer detailing the map, which looks super nice. Looks very interesting, completely different from all the other ones, which I think Siege has done a terrific job at.
Mm-hmm.
And the new operators look pretty interesting from the leaks that I have seen. Nothing completely confirmed about them, but they also look interesting.
But I mean, we're pretty sure that's what they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it isn't like we don't know what they are or anything like that. It's just We want to preface it that these are leaks and nothing is for sure.
Yeah, so like one of them has like the defense operator has a flying drone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then the attacking one has like a grenade that you can actually like push through reinforced walls, which I mean they needed. So thermite's not the only person like
However, I don't think that that operator will be. I think he will serve as a pre-buffed buck, where it was really hard to make holes big enough to jump through. It's just
yeah.
going to be murder holes essentially that he can make with the grenades.
Yeah, but it also does change up the game
Well, yeah. Otherwise, if he
immensely.
made holes big enough to jump through, you would essentially eliminate two operators in the
Yep.
process because you would get rid of Thatcher and you would get rid of Thermite.
Yep.
So that way, that's the reason why they can't have him make holes big
Just
enough
yeah.
to jump through because it would
But now
eliminate people.
it's nice because then you don't need thermite for
Mm-hmm.
every single attacking one. Where if you lose your thermite, if he's the first one who just dies and doesn't know what he's doing,
Mm-hmm.
it adds a whole new thing to it.
Yep. And the release, or I believe, yeah, they will be unveiled on Twitch at the Pro League Season 3 Finals, and that is why that's November 12th and 13th is the Season 3 Pro League Finals, and
Yeah.
that's when they're gonna release the actual like trailers for them, and then I think it's 2 or 3 weeks later is when the next season will start. So that's probably when it will all roll out.
I mean that's what they did with all
Yep.
the other DLCs. So it's kind of easy to see that happening.
Yep. And yeah, that's about it for Rainbow Six Siege as of now. There has been some rumors that there's going to be a
Season
year
2.
2 DLC, and I hope so because this game is bigger than it was at launch, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the first they weren't expecting it. Because, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a lot of people that are now, or a lot of developers that are just putting season passes at year one and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just to save them, be like, hey, this game's still doing good. Let's keep bumping out content for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Why not put out season 2
Yes.
when?
I mean, that's what I'm guessing is happening with Hitman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hitman
It was
season 2
success.
gets announced. The game's doing good. Let's do season 2.
Yep.
I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing with Rainbow Six Siege because, like you said, after the new DLC came out, more people are playing than the original game when it first came out, which is a rare thing.
Yeah. There's very few games that a year later have a bigger player base than when they started.
Yeah, most of them like, oh, I don't like this game, Fallout. Boom. You don't get that extra bump back. I mean, sure you get a little, but it's never going to be as top.
Right.
Rainbow Six Siege is one of the rare people that actually does that, especially after a year after it almost came out.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice to see that, hey, this game's doing good. Let's continue and do this one. Not let's go pump out Rainbow Six Siege 2.
Right. Right. So now we get to all of the news that has happened in the past day.
Basically. Yeah.
Yesterday and today. Pretty much all of yesterday. When Blizzcon kicked off and they had their opening ceremony, they had a lot of announcements. So we are going to start with World of Warcraft has a new patch, and
Yep.
I don't know much about World of Warcraft to be honest with you. So pretty much, in short, um,
New raid, new
yep,
smaller things, yada
yep,
yada
it's a
yada.
patch, so it's a small update, new raid, new guild, new small things that you can do in it, which is cool, cool. Wasn't expecting much from uh, World of Warcraft at BlizzCon since they just released Legion.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of obvious to see.
So on to another smaller update. We have Hearthstone, which has the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, which is an expansion pack that adds new cards, I believe.
Yeah, new cards. It's
Yeah.
just a new expansion, basically, like all of their other games.
Yep.
Except I think these are always free.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Because
can
I
just
know
buy the cards
Hearthstone
or
is
something.
all free.
Yep. There was, let's see, and another very small update. Heroes of the Storm has 2 new heroes and a brawl mode coming.
Yep.
I don't believe any of these have dates available in the coming weeks so soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can play a bunch of the stuff on their
PTR.
PTRs that they
Yep.
have. But so I mean, they're coming out pretty soon.
Yep. And so let's jump into another smaller update here we have for StarCraft 2. They have their third and final mission for PAX StarCraft 2's Nova Covert Ops, which is due November 22nd. The new mission pack will cost $750.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I've been kind of following StarCraft. I've always loved StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1. I own StarCraft 2 and the first DLC, which kind of focused on the Zerg. I mean, and then the next one I do not have, which kind of focuses on the Protoss. That's usually how their things go. They usually have two big DLCs because the first one always deals on the Terran, which are the so there's the three like factions: the Terran, Zerg, and Protoss. One Protoss are futuristic, Terran are more military, and Zerg are more like these alien, creepy, crawly, disgusting looking things. I've been meaning to get back into it. I've always enjoyed it, but I mean, I've tried, but I always say I want to get back into games, but never do.
Yeah, because there's so many that are coming out.
Yup.
Um, I also believe they are, yeah, the Heroes of the Stormfall Championship is going on as we do this podcast.
Oh, I don't really follow MOBAs, so
And the
oh
last
well.
piece of news we have about StarCraft 2 is Google's artificial intelligence team, DeepMind, sets its sights on StarCraft 2. So they're trying to essentially find a harder difficulty for StarCraft 2.
Yeah,
They want the AI to go up against the world champion of StarCraft 2.
yeah. Because I mean, the world champion can beat their hardest difficulty like nothing.
Right.
I mean, the dude's probably beat him blindfolded. I swear.
Yeah. And that's why they
Um,
have esports of StarCraft 2.
yeah. I mean, if you've ever watched them play, if you've ever watched an esport of StarCraft 2, you're like, oh, what are you doing? I didn't know that's possible in the game to go that quickly. But I mean, it's interesting to watch because they fly through that game. I'm like, it takes me like a solid 2 or 3 hours to beat one skirmish kind of map when I set it like 1 versus 8 or
Uh-huh.
1v1v1, 8 teams
Yep.
basically, free for all. Um, Takes me forever to beat it, and they can beat it in 30 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think. So, I mean, that's one thing Blizzard's good for is they always support their top games that they have going. They always have one for Warcraft, one for Sky, or I almost said Skyrim, one for StarCraft. I almost said Star Wars that time. One for Diablo, one for Hearthstone, and now Overwatch. That's one thing that they still are good with. That
Mhm.
they update all of their recent games. And then they don't just throw it away 2 years later, create a new one, and be done. I
Yeah.
mean, Diablo 2 to Diablo 3 was almost like 10 or some years separation.
Speaking of Diablo, BlizzCon reveals Necromancer class and Diablo 1 remade in Diablo 3.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
I'll turn this one over to you because you're a Diablo fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, thoughts on
So,
all of the Diablo news?
I mean, the Necromancer class, I mean, I'm a little against, because, I mean, we don't have a release date for it. It's coming out next year, and it's another paid one after they already released a Game of the Year, basically, a Game of the Year edition of Diablo 3. I don't get the point of them adding another thing that now people who already made this purchase thinking, hey, I have the Game of the Year edition basically of Diablo 3. I don't need to worry about having to buy more DLC for this game. Oh, wait, now you do. Sure, I mean, it's nice. Hey, you added this new class that you can play. He looks quite awesome to actually play as. I mean, I'm gonna play him. I mean, I love Diablo 3. It'll be fun to play through the game with the whole new content because I've played the game at least 5 times through because I tried each class out. So it'll be interesting to go play as a new kind of character, get a new play style. I mean, what they did is the Necromancer was a known class from
2.
2, yes. So I mean, it's nice that they kind of go back a little bit, say, hey, you remember the Necromancer? Here you go.
Right.
He's remastered, he's rethought out. Here he is in Diablo 3. The thing that really gets me excited is this Diablo 1 remake. I mean, yes, it's not a full remake of the game. It's one dungeon, 16 floors, 4 bosses. That's what Diablo is you have this huge dungeon, you just make your way through all the floors, playing through it. I mean, Diablo 3, that's what you do. There's one scene in it where you go through these halls of agony, which takes a solid 5 hours. I mean, if you take your time through it, but I mean, I can blaze through it in an hour because I know the whole path to get through it. And it's in the beginning of the game because you start Halls of Agony 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're usually out. I forget the floor or the level count on it. But the fact that they're saying, hey, there's 4 bosses in it, they're going to be different, it's changing it up. That's one thing that they didn't do in Diablo 3 is that Halls of Agony, yeah, it's just the same thing basically over and over again. But this one that they're saying that they're going to kind of change it up piques my interest a little bit because it gets boring when you keep seeing the same thing over again. But now we're remaking it where it's going to change it throughout the whole thing. So I'm like, when I saw it back, I'm like, oh crap, I want to go play Diablo 3 again now. Oh, I want to make sure.
Now.
I mean, it's coming out like next week
Mm-hmm.
is the update. So I'm like, I kind of want to get a guy that's kind of a high level in case he. I mean, because I kind of lost all of my characters from PlayStation 4, so I want to kind of level it person up, and I want to tear through this thing a couple of times. I mean, I can't wait for that. I mean, I kind of can't wait for that to come out more than this new Necromancer class.
Yeah. So, our last piece of news, and the thing that BlizzCon focused on probably for the most amount of time, is Overwatch.
Yep.
Which everyone saw pretty much everything that they announced, except a little piece of news. But let's first talk about Sombra.
Yep.
Did you watch her origin story?
Yep.
What did
I
you
watched
think of
basically everything from her.
Okay, what do you think of the story?
I mean, it's kind of something we already kind of saw. I mean, we knew she was going to be from the Spanish descent. She's going to be a hacker, so a lot of it didn't come to surprise for me. I mean, that's basically my take. We from this whole ARG, we knew what she was basically.
Right. I do think it's interesting that like obviously like she's like this evil, semi-evil person because she's with Widowmaker and Reaper, and neither of them were good guys.
Yeah,
But she also goes against them, so she's kind of she
her
she
one man
yeah,
army.
yeah, she definitely has her own agenda
Hmm.
in whatever is going on in the lore. Let's talk about her abilities real quick, but we don't have to go into detail about them. What do you think about her kit?
From what I saw, because I was also watching gameplay of her, she's gonna be my new number one. Cause I mean, sure, I also do sniping. So when I saw Anna, I'm like, oh, she looks like she could be my number one. No, I'm not good with Anna at all. But you give me a Hanzo or a Widowmaker, I can hold my own with those two. But I also kind of like when I play as Tracer, I do a semi decent job. So I mean, that's kind of what Sombra is. She's kind of like a different little take on Tracer with
Hmm.
her old teleporting power, her invis, and that. I mean, it's kind of interesting that you can also take down Reinhardt's shield in one little blast.
Yeah.
So she does change the game completely.
Hmm.
But I mean, I can't wait to play as her. I'm gonna right when that comes out, I'm gonna dive right into that.
Yeah. I think people are gonna play her completely wrong.
Yeah,
Like I feel like they're going to play her as an attacking operator, but I think she should be obviously she's an attacking operator, like an
yeah,
offensive one. But I
yep,
think you have to play her more
a
like
little carefully.
yeah, like more along the lines of McCree,
Yeah,
where you pick your spots very carefully to go in essentially like Tracer and Reaper.
Genji.
Yeah, they're all kind of like gung ho up there, but I think since her kit is gonna be so powerful, she's gonna definitely be like run around, hack the uh, healing things, the med packs, and stuff like that, and then making sure that she's alive and knowing when or knowing what the opponent's ults are at and getting ready to stop them. So she definitely has to be played smarter. And I think people are gonna use their teleporter wrong too. Like
Yep.
I think they're gonna throw it ahead and try to use it to get around. And I think people could like my way that I would use it is leave it back, cloak in, kill their support, and then teleport out immediately.
Yeah.
And use it more of as a like a retreat aspect and less of a get in aspect.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I was seeing. I was watching one person play it. That's how he was playing her. I'm
Hmm.
like that, and he was owning. I mean, that's what I see her being, not throwing her teleporter out there, teleporting over there, and then running, then having to run back. No,
Right.
you go invis and you sneak through them, blast them out, teleport back. Then you don't have to worry about getting shot after you're discovered.
Hmm. So they also released their Blizzard's official professional esports league.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of saw that,
Yep.
or thought they were going to announce this now.
Yeah, everyone was essentially just waiting for Overwatch to release their own league because right now Overwatch is just third parties that are doing their own sort of tournaments and whatnot. But now that Overwatch has their own, I am very intrigued as to how it's going to work. Like when it actually comes, like how are these teams gonna play? Is it gonna be LAN games or is it gonna always be online ones
Hmm.
or stuff like that? And how are they going to essentially like the little logistics I'm intrigued by. I do think it's cool that they're gonna have like player combines
Yeah,
that are going to allow teams to essentially
scout out new people.
draft their own team.
You're joining it, right?
What?
You're gonna try out for one of these leagues.
Yeah, definitely. I'll I'll try out as like a non aim mechanic hero. I'll just play Winston and Reinhardt. But yeah, I think this is gonna be cool, and definitely piques my interest because I watch a whole lot of Overwatch esports. And the last piece of news that people weren't really sure about coming
Hmm.
was this Overwatch arcade. People knew that there was going to be, well, I wouldn't say new, but the fact that they are releasing a new map, two new maps actually, that are going to be set for these mystery duels and the elimination, the 1v1 and the
Hmm.
3v3, which is interesting. I don't think I would ever have the balls to do that.
I do. I'll go try it.
I do think it's cool that it is a best of 9 where players are randomly assigned to different hero each round
Hmm.
instead of like choosing two McCrees to face off and whoever hits the most headshots wins. I do think that brings it a little more even. The elimination is interesting too because it's a best of 5 with no respawns, um, which you can only change your team comp between rounds, which makes sense. And then I
Yeah,
love that they also add in, like, in the arcade mode, you can choose to do mystery heroes and also the no limits, which is essentially quick play.
yeah. I mean, it's just something that they can actually change. It's not like, hey, here's a new map of the exact same game mode,
Right.
or here's a character that may change up the game or not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it adds a new thing into the game, which I what a lot of people were looking for. I mean, they want a new game mode. They want some new things that aren't just reskinning certain things.
Right. And then along the lines with the no limits, it mentions that there's a there's a no limit on hero, and that is because single hero limit is coming to quick play. Hooray!
Mhm.
Super excited
Thank
for that.
God. I mean, that was one thing I was always waiting on um, for like, I was waiting for that for quick play because I hate playing quick play. But yet I want to work on my Xbox One account, but I have to play quick play before I can get to
Right.
competitive, where playing against 6 Mays sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's for me, it was kind of like, are you serious right now? I'm so done with this.
Yeah. And the arcade mode is coming to
Probably when
the
Sombra comes.
PTR the 7th and 8th. November 7th and 8th. I'm trying to find where our Sombra mission is.
Sombra is getting also put on the PTR basically right after BlizzCon.
Okay. So
I
yeah,
heard it through an interview.
Sombra will probably be coming probably on
Right
the
with
8th.
these guys.
Most likely all of these are going to launch PTR patch on November 8th because that's when they do all their stuff on Tuesdays.
Yep.
So that is it for the news.
Hmm.
And now we're going to get into the upcoming games of November 6th through November 12th. And we have a whole whopping 2
Of big games. I mean,
big
sure,
games,
there's
yeah.
always like the smaller, not very known games, but right now we're focusing on these big games that are coming out.
Yep, and those are Dishonored 2 and Sword Art Online Hollow Realization. So really the only big game on there is Dishonored 2.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I could argue for Sword Art Online.
If you're a Sword Art person, it's a big game.
Yeah, for you anime people,
Yep.
it's a big thing. It's the one anime I actually watched.
Oh, okay.
I'll be honest here.
I've
I
never watched any anime, so
I mean, do you at least know what this thing is?
no idea. I've heard of
Well,
Sword Art, and that's
let me enlighten you and our
it.
viewers on the one thing that I will finally actually know about anime with. So, Sword Art Online is a it's an anime that focuses on video games. So obviously, this would be the perfect anime to make into a video game. And basically, what it is if you can picture Diablo. I mean, since we were talking about it, it's a huge floored like world dungeon almost, where you start at the floor one, you level yourself up enough to fight a boss, and then you move up through the levels. And then when you get to level 100 or floor 100 or however many floors there are, you fight your final boss, you win the game. The only thing is in the anime is if your character dies in the game, you die in real life.
Mm.
And you cannot exit the game till you beat the game.
It's like Spy Kids.
Yeah, kind of,
There's
I
at least
guess.
Spy Kids movie.
Yeah, Spy Kids 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's basically what it is. But this game, you play as the main character. I'm guessing that's what you have done in all the other Sword Art Online games, and it's basically a whole new world where you try to get up through the levels. I don't know if there's actually permadeath. Obviously, you don't die in the real world. Don't worry about that.
Maybe if it's like a VR game, you just die. It like
Yeah,
shocks your head.
I bet PlayStation's gonna let that come out.
Yeah.
No,
Dang Sony trying to kill us all.
yeah. But anyways, that's basically what that game is. I mean, if you like the anime, that's basically a good way of doing it. Because I don't think it comes with English, like, voiceover. I think it's all subtitles.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that's why it's a hard no for me.
Yeah, I don't think I could read all that.
No, especially when it's a Japanese role-playing game, when all that thing is text.
Right. Yeah. So then
Ugh.
the other big game we have is Dishonored 2. And the description for that game is reprise your role as a supernatural assassin in Dishonored 2, the follow-up to Arcane Studios' first-person action blockbuster and winner of more than 100 Game of the Year awards. Dishonored. Play your way in a world where mysticism and industry collide.
Are you interested in it at all?
Not really. I mean, kind of. If it wasn't $60, if I
Yeah.
could play it for free, I probably would. But I don't know if I'd pay $60 for it. I almost paid $10 to play Dishonored, but I still didn't do that. So,
Yeah, I mean, I've played Dishonored multiple times trying to get through the thing. It's an interesting concept.
mm-hmm.
I mean, so for the people that don't know, it's a stealth or just a kill everything kind of game. I mean, they kind of want you to do stealth. You get awarded more
Right.
for stealth, but you can kill everyone and it's fine. The cool thing is in the games, if you kill a lot, it changes the world around you, where it kind of focuses on like the Black Plague kind of times, where the cool thing is if you kill a lot of people, there's going to be more rats around, and the rats are very vicious and will come and kill you if they
Mm.
see you. But if you go completely stealth, there's ways where you can just all you have to do is you kill the first or the boss at the end of each mission. You can stealth your way through where you can don't get seen by anything. You don't even have to go up and kill him. You could like poison a drink or something.
Oh, interesting.
But I mean, that's one way of playing it. You get awarded more for doing that. I know there's trophies for going the whole game without killing a single person. I
Huh.
don't know how that actually happens when you have to kill certain people.
Interesting.
Um, I mean, that's the interesting thing about the game. So,
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
if you like stealth games, it's
yeah.
definitely one to consider.
Plus, it also has the supernatural kind of aspect of the game that they added in this one. Plus, you get to play as two different characters. One
Gotcha.
that's more melee focused, one's more stealth focused.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it'd be interesting if it wasn't $60 and I didn't have games that I wanted to play right now.
Yeah, it's just not high on the priority
Maybe,
list.
maybe come March or April next year when
Yeah.
nothing's getting announced.
Mm-hmm.
And our upcoming games list is about this size as well.
Yeah.
If two of them.
So we are going to dive into our nerdy randomness. We're going to try to hit these real quick because we are quite long on this podcast. So, our weekly Walking Dead update. Honestly, I was pretty unimpressed. I was really weirded out. There was a tiger that was tamed by a man. And it was just kind of weird. It was a really different tone that it took as opposed to last week's episode. This one was more happy, everything's wonky, honky dory sort of thing, and that's not really what I expected. But it was an interesting. They introduced a new character, and it wasn't bad. It was just weird.
I
Having
mean,
a tiger is weird.
they can't have like two insanely big
Right.
ones. I mean, that's what they do. They save it for their opener,
Yep.
mid-season finale, and finale. The rest of them are all just walking simulators, I swear.
Honestly, I would have been fine with it if the dude didn't have a tiger. Because he has, like, a pet tiger, which is, like, weird. Like, it just didn't seem like it fit. I like the guy. The dude is, like, a really different character. And this one's all about Carol and Morgan, which I love those two characters. But the tiger just doesn't click for me.
Gotcha.
So let's move on to two trailers that were released. We have the first one we're going to talk about real quick, Wonder Woman. What were your thoughts on this?
It looks just like another DC movie. I mean, it looks like a dark, trying to be all serious kind of movie. We're talking about superheroes here now.
Yeah.
We're talking about Wonder Woman who can literally block bullets with her gauntlets almost.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys. Be like Marvel. I get you. Most of your comics are kind of dark and all that, but that's not what we're going to see these movies for. They're superheroes. Let them have fun.
Right.
Not every single DC comic is like dark in that. They're fun. I mean, we all remember our TV comic shows like Batman and that. They were fun.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to have some fun here. But come on, guys, have some fun.
My thoughts is she's going to be a very good Wonder Woman. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, she's not ugly.
No. The next trailer we have is Lego Batman. Talk about fun. This looks like fun.
Yeah. It looks like they're actually. I mean, obviously
It looks
doesn't
like
look.
a Lego movie.
Yeah, it looks basically a clone of the Lego movie where they're just having fun, making jokes and all of that.
Yep.
I mean, they're obviously not gonna. It's not canon,
Right.
guys. Don't. It's not canon at all. I mean, Batman doesn't just go chill out in the Batcave, just relax in there.
Watch the movies.
Yeah, he doesn't adopt Robin. And I mean, Barbara Gordon is not the commissioner. It's not canon, and I am fine with it.
Yep. It's a Lego movie, so it's not a superhero movie. It's a Lego movie.
It's a kids movie.
Yep. So that does it for today's episode of Game News and Things. Where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter with Platinuming. It's Platinum with an ING at the end. PSN is Nitsua6991. It's Austin backwards. And Xbox is Ding Futsie. So it's Ding and then Futtsie. How about you?
You can find me on Twitch at TheOneBG Gaming. I'm trying to hop back on there a little more. I am on Twitter. I'm trying to be on there a lot more at the_1_BG. And YouTube at TheOneBG Gaming. I think I already said that. I don't know. And you can find this podcast and support this podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/game news and things. And join our Facebook group at facebook.com/game news and things. This has been Game News and Things, episode number 5. Thank you. Peace out.